What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty here in the booth with Rob, Roby, and we're probably going to have Bill probably jump in a little later. I did send him an invite here. Didn't really center my cameras too well here and on both sides, but let me go ahead and see about getting that fixed. But we are back for the RFL podcast. You guys already know what time it is. It's time for some bells. It's time to talk about this crazy season opener for season 9. You're good, Rob. I'm gonna fix your camera.
Okay.
Make it centered because I think you are centered. It's just let me fix these cameras real quick, guys. Get this joint right. Oh, see, bring that back. All right. All right, yeah. So I think I'm getting him right, and looks like we're good. Looks like we are good. But yeah. So we're going to talk about this week. We're going to get a look at the current divisions after what happened in the first week of the season. Let me move this also. Oh man, this thing's playing crazy. All right. And we're going to, of course, get a look at the new top 10 power rankings based off of what happened in the first week. Also, a look at what's coming up this week in week 2 and what our predictions are going to be, as well as stat leaders, players of the game, and all of that. I won't have too many flashy graphics or anything for you guys. Working on a lot of things behind the scenes. But let's go ahead and just dive right into it. First, talking about the key moments of week 1. All right, so when we talk about week 1, this was a crazy week 1. Let's go ahead and get a look at the scores. So let's see these scores here. As you can see, this is out of order compared to how they actually were shown on the channel. So the Sentinels losing to the Dreadnoughts 27-45. Big win there for the home team. Then we had the Shamrocks with the huge upset, getting it done in Boston. Their first game in Boston, they get it done against a very tough Houston Voyagers team. You had the Thunderbirds just barely outlasting the Pioneers there in Pittsburgh, almost getting it done in their home city, but Atlanta prevails. Baltimore Gunners besting the Desperados and getting bested by Marquise, Washington, and the Desperados, beating them by 20, 41-21. This is probably the most exciting game of the week. We're going to, of course, go into more detail for the more important games. I just want to get all the final scores out there for you guys. This is probably the most fun game, along with the Steamers and Armadillos when we get there. But 46-25, and we'll talk a little bit of why DJ is him. You had the Celtic Tigers and the Aviators going at it, as the Aviators were able to best the Celtic Tigers in St. Louis in their new city. The Cincinnati Hogs getting it done at home against Coach Roby here in the Cougars in a very tough defensive matchup. We'll go ahead and dive into his psyche and his thoughts of the game. We had the Steamers and the Armadillos game, in which I talked about. Very high scoring. It definitely was between the Steamers and Armadillos and the Explorers and Tigers game for what took the cake as the game of the week, right? Like those games were absolutely incredible. This one goes into overtime. And 47-44 was the final score. The Bisons couldn't get it done in San Diego. Red Dragons win 23-6. Division game between the only division that stayed intact, which was the NRC West. The Condors beat the Elks 32-15, doubling up plus their score. You had Jordan Granger, tough fight, a tough, hard-fought battle, and his first debut here in the RFL as the reigning Hunter Mackey Award winner from CS5, but just couldn't get it done in his first game against the Bulls, as they were able to best them 20-17. Black Knights, Gino Gannon, along with Marquise, Washington, getting it done in their debuts in their first game on their new team, as they beat the Barons 33-18. And you had the Diablos, which was our main event game, on a crazy comeback in which we'll dive a little bit more into, beating the Huskies 34-24. Marshals in a defensive battle against the Monarchs, where the Monarchs were just able to outlast the Marshals there by a score of 13-10. Snowhawks not showing up at all at home, getting beat by Ben Wakefield and the boys as the Crusaders defeat Portland 31-10. And the final game to go over, which was our season opener, is the Miners and the Bulldogs. And this will be the first game we'll try to dive in and talk about, to start things off after the recap. So final score was 27-24. I want to ask you, what was your thoughts on the Miners making the game as close as it ended up being in the first game of the season? Does that tell you a little bit of what to look forward to for the Miners? Are they a better team that could win past the first round? Like, what's your thoughts after the good show that they had to open up the season against the reigning champs?
I just kind of know a good dog in a fight. If that make, I'm muted. Am I muted?
Are you muted?
Am I muted? It says you're muted. Press all. Am I muted?
Nope.
You're
okay. Coming through.
No, yeah. I recognize a good dog in a fight. This is nothing to the Bulldogs. I mean, they're an amazing, in my opinion, a powerhouse. But the Miners, I could just tell when a coach is working hard. Just listening to the Miners Live podcast, you could see that these guys are really have a cohesive unit in there. He's put some time in off season. The foul suggests the same thing as well. I honestly was not too surprised at the level of play for the Miners. I actually was more surprised that the Bulldogs did not play up to their caliber that they should have, despite 27 points being put up. In my opinion, that just wasn't a great game from the Bulldogs. If you're just talking about individual performances from individuals. So I really, thought that this game probably would be more favored to the Bulldogs down the stretch, but I absolutely was not surprised that the Miners were able to keep this a game whatsoever. In my opinion, it was a great game. We all saw the game. I called this game, yeah.
Yeah.
So So it was a great game. Defensively, the Miners held their weight, in my opinion, to what could have probably been a game that maybe was won by the Bulldogs with a lot more scores. I do think I highlighted during the game as well that I was very impressed with the offensive line of the Miners being able to kind of put a cap on that dangerous defensive line there. I mean, I don't think I really heard JT's name too much. We didn't see Brewer go off too much. I think I saw Brodine a few times, but even Masters. But they did a good job, man, to get some pretty good defenders. So kudos to the Miners, man. The day went to the Bulldogs, though, at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely just to talk about some key moments. I mean, the injury that happened to Miles McCain, and then I was about to say Gerard Mayo. That guy got fired from the Patriots, but Uncle Mayo, we'll just call him. Jerry Mayo gets it done with the time that he had to be able to keep this offense afloat and actually kind of energize the team despite the tough loss, because no one knew what was going on with Miles McCain, if he was going to return or not. And the cool thing about it, Miles comes back, able to drive his team down the field and make some plays himself and get this game, pretty close. The Bulldogs, I feel like the running game, Matt Wheaton was absolutely tearing it up, and Bulldogs, I think this, in my opinion, shows a little bit about the Miners. If they can be as consistent as, or at least as tough as they usually are against a team of this caliber and make it that close, I feel like the Bulldogs played a pretty good game. I just feel like the level of the Miners has just stepped up to the point where these guys might be able to take it to that next level. And I got a little bit of delay with the PC, but it looks like it fixed itself. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Let's go ahead and talk about statistically. I was trying to move around, but let's just go ahead and look at the next topic I got here about the Sentinels and the Dreadnoughts game. So what's your thoughts on OJ? OJ and KJ, man, those guys connected for a lot of big plays last season.
Yeah.
Was second in the league in yards with the two connection in the yards and everything they had, just right behind the Huskies, Holden Wolf and Keith Guyton. And, man, OJ wasn't just getting it to KJ. KJ obviously did his job, but it was the the amazing performance, in my opinion, of Owen Jack being able to spread the ball and get others involved. And a lot of
Mhm.
other players were able to make impact plays because of that. And he was also able to scramble one in. So, what's your thoughts on the Dreadnoughts moving
Mhm.
forward? Is OJ proving to really be that franchise guy
Yeah.
with KJ? And do you expect this offense with him to continue to be this potent?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of different angles I want to go to from here. First, I'll start the narrative with just the fact that OJ in college with Oregon was an amazing quarterback. And I thought that, in my opinion, that he was ready for the RFL just based off his performance at Oregon. Now, he was a 1 year guy. I don't think he did multiple years,
Yeah,
correct?
just one
So,
and done.
so yeah. So the one and done guys, I get it. They come in 1 year.
Yeah,
I quarterback.
they got this daggone PC, man.
Is it?
Uh,
Yeah, I can't. Can you hear me or not? Because it's freezing.
yeah,
Um,
this. Oh my goodness.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I can't
so
tell. Is it freezing? Is it cutting my voice off or?
it was. You can keep
Uh,
going, but
okay, yeah. So I thought OJ was a really great quarterback. He was ready for the RFL. Uh, so when we saw his debut a few seasons ago, I think he had that late quarter drive, threw an interception, and everyone was like, "Oh, he threw an interception, man, it's going to be terrible." Uh, that connected with the fact that Frankie historically has done very good with low overall QBs. I don't think he's ever had a QB in his reign that was an elite QB overall wise, right?
not
So he
really.
does very good with taking underrated QBs and putting them in positions. It also helps when you have a Eiffel Tower
Yeah,
that is going to absolutely demolish you. Unfortunately, the Sentinels just don't have anybody that can cover Cam Jones. I mean, nobody has anybody that can cover Cam Jones. So Cam Jones, it makes it easy for a quarterback like Owen Jack, right, who simply just has the throw capacity to just get the ball up to him, right? So he doesn't need anything super, right? He doesn't need the DJs and the Ginos and the Keeses. Got a quarterback that can play, and he's decent, and he's got he's got a team around him, dual backs in the backfield, plenty of options, So in my opinion, what went down went down. I mean, it doesn't matter if it was on All Madden, All Pro, or Pro. In my opinion, there's nobody on the field that can stop KJ. And in the words of Tupac, how do
yeah,
you want it? So
yeah.
so hopefully you guys got that reference there.
Yeah, that was just amazing performance. I mean, just 7 catches, 222 yards, as you can see from the stats that's being shown up here. OJ even led the team in rushing yards with 56 and running in for a touchdown. Speaking of that point, too, we saw Cam Perkins get injured in that game, which is, definitely a loss for the team. Good thing they were able to re-sign Javante Gilliam back to be on that team because I mean he before there was a Cam Perkins being able to start
Hmm.
off for the team, there was Javante Gilliam. They've only had two real starting backs in franchise history, and bringing that old veteran back, I mean he was even tearing it up still, and
Yeah.
that's a good fill in. But we got Perkins about to be out for I believe 3 weeks, and so it's going to be interesting to see them carry the load there. But that's one of the big losses coming in. What's your thoughts on the Sentinels though? The
Yep.
Sentinels, they are one of the few teams that actually utilize an offensive coordinator, which is a separate person from the person who owns the team in the RFL. For guys who don't know, we do have that available where if guys are interested in being coordinators, depends on if the team wants one. If they don't, there's some guys that's out here, Jerry Jones in it, just wants to make sure that, hey,
Hmm.
I'm running my entire organization. I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to
Yeah.
listen to nobody. But
Hmm.
Tor is one of those guys who left an outlet out there for, someone to see what they could do, and they bring in Nick Firestorm, and
Yeah.
as they bring Nick in, the offense able to put up 27 points, but of course those points kind of came later in the game, as the Dreadnoughts were there dominant. What would you say you saw from this team?
What I would say is that at least it's scoring, right? That's a nightmare not to score, and a lot of teams felt that nightmare this week, including the Cougars, right? So it's scoring. I'm not gonna this is a new offensive coordinator. This is something new that's for tour, and so I'm just going to see how this develops. In my opinion, they didn't, they didn't look, I guess you could say as bad as you would think they would look. It's just that they got overpowered by that wide receiver. You know what I mean? So, at this point, and then I don't want to get into the politics and everything. I don't know what's going on with the Sentinels. I do know that, Torres definitely been developing this team for quite some time. And it's got its issues as most teams do. But the good thing, though, the biggest thing that I can say here is that they were able to put up points, man. You know what I mean? So that's a big piece of the puzzle, right? Now it's the individual matchups. When you get to those super ability players, man, that the obviously the Cam Joneses, the CJs, the 2Ks. I mean, what do you do with those guys? I mean, they're going to get theirs, So we'll have to see what the Sentinels are able to do, going down the line.
All right, so we'll move on to the next thing. We'll talk about one of your former players who's now in London playing for the Black Knights. He had a game against the Barons. Everyone's interested to see how he was going to perform in his debut. But not only him, Marquise Washington, two rivals that came in from college back in the first ever RFL college series. They were the first main storyline stemming from that series. They come into the RFL, getting drafted to the same division. And now after 3 years, they have been traded off. One staying in the ARC and Gino Gannon staying with the Black Knights. The other one going in the NRC with the Desperados in the NRC South. Both of them able to get a win in their opener. And you spoke to this last week in the podcast, talking about how Marquise Washington and Tavion Hall is going to be quite the pair. And you predicted that they would win by 17 or more points. They do get it done by 20 over the Gunners, 41-21. What is your thoughts on both of those guys getting it done week one on teams that they weren't expected to beat?
If I had to compare, Marquise and Tavion Hall, just think of your best prize fighter, left, right, give it to you straight up. I think that, Keese, in my opinion, really, and I don't mean to sound like he's an elitist QB here. I just feel that he doesn't really need much in order to operate. We've seen him work even from the PS4 days. We saw him work that year, and then going to the PS5, we saw him work really with a team that was, it was okay. It wasn't a really, really great team. I mean, he did have 2K, so I will give them that. But if you looked at like around the edges, you looked at, the line, the defensive line, the cornerbacks and stuff. I mean, they weren't really that great. I mean, I remember them killing me with there was a tight end or something, man. It always got open for some reason, man. It was because of the play of Marquise Washington. You see, and so I knew that when I came back and found out he was traded to the Desperados, I said, oh well now he's got, in my opinion, the greatest halfback in the league, behind him, and that just kind of connecting that with Tavion Hall. I mean, Tavion Hall is running with really no quarterback. He's out there, just making plays on his own. Line is okay, pretty good, but I mean, we've seen this guy. You've seen the highlights, man. This guy, we've seen the numbers, the stat lines. I mean, we're talking about. I keep wanting to say 1,900 back. Smitty, was it 1,900 yards with him and Axel that year, or was it 1,800 yards? I don't remember. I think it was 1,900 yards that they both had.
Axel, are you talking about
with Axel and Hall? Yeah, it was Hall and Axel going back.
They were going back for 18 and 19.
Yeah, 1,900 yards. And he did that with no QB really. I just feel that, now, and you saw it, he had 100 yards, 19 carries or whatever it was. And then Keese, he had a big day as well. And then they did exactly what I thought they would do, so I don't think the slider change is going to change anything. I think those two QBs that QB and halfback are just destined to be great on any level you put it on, all Madden, all pro, whatever.
Okay. And again, at least it let it sped back up and finished up the sentence. So like, guys, bear with us with this. So at least it went through. Definitely going to try to see about getting this fixed tomorrow. Uh, but with that being said, um, how do you feel about them moving forward? Do you feel just from this, like if you had to make an early prediction, do you
Mhm.
think any of them make the playoffs with the teams they are on? Because both are not projected to do so. Do you think
Yeah.
that one of them gets it done, or if not both this year?
Yeah. Well, you can't really, look, both of them had great weeks. And even though people thought they would not have great weeks, people thought that Gino Gannon doesn't have an offensive line, so he's not going to perform. And what did he show you? He showed you that he's still in that rare form. So, I'm not going to say playoffs just yet. Way too early for me for that. But what I'm going to say is that, anytime you face players like that, when you face Gino Gannon, you have to prepare for him or he'll eat you alive. You face 2K or Keese or any of those guys really. You're definitely he's definitely gonna beat you up regardless. So um, you know I'm gonna say this though. I do like what Gino Gannon looked like with that line. I really liked what he looked like, man. And at the same time, I think that the dark horse is also Keese and also Tavion. So I'm going to say, yeah, I think both of these are easily wild cards if they maintain that kind of play and get enough wins. And remember, we're playing every game now,
Yeah.
so that's going to be big.
Yeah, so we move on to the next big topic of this past week, which was again one of the two most exciting games this week to take the cake of the best game of the week. And this segment I have titled, it's not a segment that we're going to normally do, but just titling of what we're talking about, what game. I got this called Daryl Johnson Does It Again, He's Him. And this guy definitely, I mean, the guts for coach to be like, hey, we could tie this up with the kick, but I'm giving it
Hmm.
in the hands of Daryl Johnson to run this ball in. And it wasn't even a designed run, but just
Yeah.
having the that confidence to be like, Daryl
Mhm.
Johnson, win us the game. If we start out 0-1, I don't care. I'd rather put the ball into your hands. Dude goes out,
Mhm.
pass play, nothing's there, immediately scrambles out to his left, runs in the end zone for a touchdown, having another classic victory,
Mhm.
as just like he did his rookie season in that Elks
Mhm.
50-yard scramble touchdown game. What
Yeah.
was your thoughts on that game? How the Tigers performed?
Hmm.
Because I mean, we can't forget about Kai Cash and the type of day he had. I mean, you can see right here, 5 touchdown passes to 1 interception, 448 passing yards, which was 10 yards more and a touchdown
Hmm.
more than Daryl Johnson. And he came
Yeah.
back after the team was down 31-0. Um,
Yeah.
Thoughts on this overall game, and of course Daryl Johnson just ending up clutching the game out as we're accustomed to seeing him do.
Okay, you got to let the. Okay, yeah, I think it's Okay, it's good. It's not freezing. Okay, all right. So, Bill, I love you. And respect to DJ, but he's supposed to do that. He was, built to do that. He's built to succeed. That's why he's DJ. Uh, with that said, I have to move DJ to the side. I think that the bigger story here is Kai Cash and the Tigers, man. Look, you can't spin it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to be the number one team, the number two team in the league, then you have to accept the fact that when you don't get it done on all cylinders, then that's the bigger story, right? So the Tigers, man, boy, Kai Cash, those numbers right there should be the big story, right? I was quite shocked. I know that the game was 31-0 at first. I was just quite shocked to see the Tigers make that comeback. However, what I will say is this: what's consistent about the RFL is that it all comes down to that second half, man. And we've seen this not just in this season. We've seen this second halves change, fourth quarters change, and what's no one's ever going to be able to take away is the fact that Kai Cash put up those kind of numbers. 5 tutties is quite impressive in a comeback down 31-0. I mean, I have to give the respect, obviously, to the Tigers, man. Defensively, that run was crazy. Was it 28-3 run or something like that? Whatever it was, or something crazy,
Yeah,
man.
it
The
was
run
it
that
was
they had,
wild.
yeah, that was a crazy run coming back against the Explorers. I mean, this is the juggernaut, right? This is the the head team, along with the Bulldogs, respect to the Bulldogs and the Toronto Thunderbirds and Voyagers and stuff. But no, this is a great team that did goose eggs and almost lost this game. DJ's supposed to run it in at the end of the game. That's what he's supposed to do. Every time he's in the red zone, he's supposed to be putting on touchdowns, whether it's on his feet or whether it's passing. So, it was a great moment, but I know Bill was probably like, you don't have any more hair to pull, man. So he probably was breaking controllers, man. Had to. Respect to the Explorers. There's nothing I'm trying to take away from you guys, but I'm worried. In that situation, I'm worried because the Tigers. Now I know we could say historically, the Tigers always give them whatever it is, man. Between those two teams, they load up. It's like, give them a hard time. We could say that and everything. That feeds into the storyline, But I don't think that the Explorers, in the position they are right now, I don't think the Explorers really are happy about that win or gloating about that win. I think they're pretty much like, and that's what I got to say about that one.
Yeah, it was definitely a great game, crazy comeback, which is one of the games that definitely made this a wild week 1 opener. Daryl Johnson again capping it off with the with the game-winning 2-point conversion, which was huge. But Kai Cash with that comeback was pretty fire, and it just kind of tells you, is this going to be the year that the Tigers could potentially make the playoffs? They're in a tough division, but just for a quick answer on this. What do you feel about that? Do you think after what you saw, this is the year that they make the playoffs at least?
The Tigers, it's a possibility. Look, you can say what you want to say about the Tigers. From the moment that Kai Cash was put on that team, they got an immediate upgrade, and they became very difficult. And even in the games that year when he was in his rookie season, those were some tight games. I don't think they lost many of those games by more than 10. I think they only got blown out one time in that season, if I remember, or something like that. They had a lot of close games. I remember us calling that. It's possible, right? Obviously, we've got some mechanical issues that we got to figure out and see what's going on. I'm not trying to blame sliders and stuff, but we just know that, the game hasn't played like, we would like it to play. So we'll have to see what week 2. After week 2, week 3, we're going to know what it's looking like, I think it's possible. It's likely that the Tigers, if they're putting up those kind of numbers and they can play like that against that kind of team, then they're in the same boat as the Black Knights and also the Desperados.
All right, now we'll dive into your game, man. On the road in Cincinnati, taking on a rookie quarterback, Ronnie Football, pulling out some of that old Oregon magic to be able to clutch out the win. Seemed like you guys had it a little bit there towards the end. Both defenses playing great. Both defenses are known to have good players, of course, and to be good. But it was that one play that Ronnie Shanahan had bouncing off of what should have been a sack of a player, rolling out to his left, throwing the ball to Peyton Cash in the end zone on the side, and they go up for the lead 10-7, and the final score ended up being exactly that. What is your takeaways and thoughts of this game, and what is your what would your analysis be on what you saw from Ronnie Shanahan in his debut?
I'm looking at the chat, man, and Peyton Cash says he's the Hog savior. These guys are being compared to Jesus now. Interesting, man. Look, it's nothing against Ronnie Football, man. Great career at college. He's on a great team, and he's he's going to succeed, right? I'm not going to take anything away from them. We had a great defensive game. I'm very happy about my defense, and that's just a warning right there. I'm going to say that, right? I'm very happy with the way they played. I was absolutely floored at the end there when, but it's my rookie. It's my rookie right in. I'm just glad he touched Ronnie. Got back there and almost got that sack, man. Austin Sanders, and I'm kudos to Ronnie, man. I mean, that was a great heads up play. Throwing on the run like that, tripping, falling or whatever, in the rain there, and finding the savior. Am I calling this guy the savior, man? The savior for the Hogs, really? Peyton Cash, the savior?
I think he's talking about Ronnie. That's what he meant. You saying Ronnie's the
No, he
savior?
says, "I am the hog savior." That's what he says. Quote the trustful,
You said it. You
the
said I
trustful
am.
one, Peyton Cash.
I am
He
the
says,
hog.
"I am
Oh,
the
he
hog
did say
savior."
that. I thought he was
Yeah.
talking about
So,
Ronnie. Oh, okay.
yeah. Well, Peyton Cash, I hope you catch that in going forward. We want to see more savior moments, my guy. But no, you look, the Hogs are a very fun team to play. Um, I saw AW in the chat. You know, it's always nice when AW talks. He doesn't talk at all.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, we beat an elite Cougars team, man. I heard they were elite." And I said, "What? We ain't elite yet, man. We looking pretty good. We got a lot of things we got to work on." I wouldn't say elite. I never would call us elite. I think that we're just, I think that we're just a team that's, we're in a little bit of a rebuild and trying to figure some things out offensively right now. So, yeah, man. Salute to the Hogs, man. Great game, man. That's all
Yeah, definitely a
I
great
can
game.
say, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great game. Just getting a mix of everything a little bit in that first week. High scoring games, middle scoring games, average, and low scoring games like that with some defense being shown. It was a great week.
Yeah.
And then even talking just a little bit about the Aviators in the Celtic Tigers game. Not really to go in detail or anything about that. We saw some missed throws on key areas for the Celtic Tigers. They could have capitalized and took the lead. Did not happen. But I'd say the storyline to look out for was the guy that, got traded for to go here in replace of Marquise Washington. He actually looked pretty good. Didn't throw any touchdown passes, but he didn't throw any interceptions. But he did run in for a touchdown. And in that touchdown run, that was able to really spark this offense, get this team going. And that's just the dynamic in which he brings to this team. I mean, he won a reload bowl with the Thunderbirds back when his number was called upon, which was way back in season 3 after LC3 got hurt leading up to the game. So he's at least got that under his belt. He's with the Elks for a while. Things just really not working out there. I mean, he still was designated to be the starter. Then this trade takes place, and it kind of makes you wonder, Marquise Washington was more that quarterback that got it done with his arm, dissecting defenses and barely ran, but ran when he had to at times. But this is a guy who's going to take off anytime he sees that the opportunity is there. Also can be semi-accurate. What is your thoughts? Is Cal Bain the future of the Aviators here?
No, I'm not going to say future, man. The guy's been around for a while, but no, I'm not going to say. Yeah. I'm not gonna say he's
26, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't think Kyle Bain. I think this is just a transition period for the Aviators. I don't see. I mean, they've got a lot of work to do on that team. Period. But future, no, I don't want to say that just yet. This is a significant downgrade from Marquise Washington. And so now, you have to, you just have to look at what Cal Bain has been able to do in the RFL. And most of it has been, and I hate to say this, has been losing. So I just, man, wait, how old is Holland? Armand Holland. Isn't he like 30s, 30 something like that? Is he up there?
Yeah, so he's about to be out.
Yeah. So Zoe is up there.
Zoe Sheffield.
Cruz,
he's only 2 years. He's only league a year.
No, I don't mean up there like in age. I mean
okay.
he's next man up, right? So Zoe Sheffield is the next man up, and he still has some developing to do. Cole Cruz hasn't really come into fruition yet for them. So I don't know, man. They've got some things they got to do. But hey, at least at least they have a quarterback that they can work with, man. That's the best I can say there, man. For the Aviators, as far as that goes. Yeah.
All right, so I guess I haven't played any bells up to this point, but it's time to play one here as the Portland Snowhawks take a mean L at home in a divisional matchup against the Crusaders. LA Crusaders come in, they shut it down. Pass game was going, but Snowhawks just wasn't getting anything going, especially on defense. Defense was a whole liability. We know how explosive the Crusaders offense can be. So, is it shocking they put up points? No, but it was shocking how wide open it was for them to pretty much do what they want on the offensive side of the ball. And then on the offensive side of the ball for Portland, they struggled. And more importantly, it was Joseph Gidley. I mean, this is a quarterback that, for the longest is looked at as one of the best. Has had some great years, even though he's had some struggles. And as of lately, though, you've seen him getting up there in interceptions, just not pulling his team through to win here. And he had a really bad performance here in this one. Are you concerned about the Snowhawks? Do you think that they're going to be able to turn things around after this game, or do you feel that this is just signs of just Gidley probably not just being that guy anymore?
This is kind of like a fantasy football week for me, man. It's like where you have a favorite team, right, and then you have a favorite player, and you want your favorite team, to do well. But at the same time, you want your favorite player to score big time, right? And so that's kind of how this was for me, because I was talking about Ben Wakefield and how underrated he is, right? And how I know this guy can throw for 400 and 500 yards, man. I know he can do that in a cinch. I thought the AI for the Snowhawks would have done a better job against the Crusaders. I had no idea that this game would be so lopsided, one-sided in favor, and I'm not sure why it is that the computer.
Got a little break right here.
But had a great day. And man, I couldn't believe they got that thing done, 31-10, man, over the Snowhawks. That was definitely a head scratcher for me. I definitely did I choose the Crusaders? I think I was going underdog because I had them as an underdog with the win.
Crusaders to get to that.
Yeah, I had them as underdog with the win, but I didn't really expect them to do it in that fashion against the Snowhawks. I don't know why I feel like, it might just be like because the guys who chat in the server and everything, it makes it feel like the Snowhawks are so imposing, I guess. But maybe I need to go look at the roster and see, are these guys really that good?
Thing is, I mean, they got the guys,
Yeah.
Definitely got the guys. The defense, though, in that game, I mean, is definitely equally responsible as you look at Gidley and the defense. And those two things just really did. I think it was more so shocking how Swiss cheese defense was, we'll see if that gets right, because I mean that probably could have shifted the game had that been able to slow them down to give Gidley a chance. But there's a lot of missed opportunities by the team, and a shocking loss. And they start out 0-1 not only in the season but in the division. So that's a tough loss to start the season off for them. But we'll have to see if they flip things back around. But moving on, here goes my next bell for a key game to get into. And that is the Memphis Steamers getting beat in OT by Coach Rowland in his first year with the Austin Armadillos. And boy, was that a crazy game.
Hey, he beat him so bad, man. He beat him so bad. Justin came out, man, had to kick interference. That's how bad this loss was, man. Oh boy. That was crazy. That was crazy, man.
Yeah, absolutely wild, man. And I mean, can I say that the Steamers' offense performed bad? Absolutely not. Wagner was doing what we expected him to do. The offense completely did what they expected to do. The receivers, the defense, though, it's the same deal kind of with the Snowhawks. Yeah. It was just where the defense, and we know how great this defense is. They just were not there. They were not locked in. We're used to seeing the Dillos give up 40 points. But we're not used to seeing the Steamers do this, And Jordy Johnson absolutely going off, I believe. And we'll look at the players of the week. I believe he won Offensive Player of the Week. So, I mean, that's just saying a lot with what they were able to do.
How scary is this, though, man? Red zone offensive percentage, 83 for the Dillos and just 50 for the Steamers, man. And what was a close 47-44. You just have to give Roland his kudos and move on. Excellent game plan there, Roland. Very good scheme, and wow, you shocked the league with that win there, man. So we just got to give you your hats off to that. And Steamers, I know without Coach Jones, man, it's tough, man. But I still think that this team is really, really good. So it just wasn't their week here. Big salute to the Roland and the Armadillos.
Yeah, and I believe, if not mistaken, Chumlee leads the entire RFL to kick off the season with 519 passing yards in that game, had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception, just like Reed Wagner had. So that was just an all-around amazing performance by him.
I like this question here from Harvey. He says, "Was it a bad loss, or did the Armadillos just step up?" That's a good one. That's a very good question. Was it a bad loss, or did the Armadillos step up? The coach in me wants to say, because if that was me, I'd say, man, I coached this team up. I coached them up, and I beat a great team. So, but then at the same time, it's like, well, did I just barely beat a great team, right? But I don't know. I think that the Armadillos stepped up to the occasion.
Yeah, they definitely stepped up because it's actually both. It's a bad loss for sure. You shouldn't even have been in this position to begin with the Armadillos. And it's also the Armadillos stepping up, because this was not a game where it was like how we talked the Snowhawks game was. The Snowhawks, we know that division is competitive, because like Crusaders, just from the offensive firepower in general that the Crusaders can generate along with the Condors, that's what makes the West not always just guaranteed for the Snowhawks. But the difference is when they struggled, they had a defensive issue as well, just like the Snowhawks, but the Steamers were doing great on offense. They did exactly what they were used to doing. The only thing is their defense didn't show up, and that cost them against a team where the Armadillos, have they been a good team throughout their franchise history? No, but I can say this. They can put up points from time to time. Even they did that last season, and with Chumlee under the helm. And they've got some really good playmakers, especially in Jordy Johnson. As you can see, he just utilizes his speed all throughout that game, had over 200 receiving yards, and also leads the receivers in the RFL with over 250 yards right now. So, I mean, that 240, I believe it was. So he just absolutely came here and got it done. Let's look at the receiving yards. Actually, it's right here. Yeah, 246 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he just was really the big determining factor. And I think that speed really caught the Steamers off guard. But again, also, we didn't see anything from their big defensive playmakers on the line. Nishan Richardson, I mean, last season was an absolute stud at that defensive tackle position. 51, I believe, tackles for loss. Multiple sacks, over 20. And he just couldn't generate any pressure. To me. Along with the defensive end, Diego Lizarraga. The Lizard is a beast. Those are 2 key players of the defense that just did not show up within that game or generate any pressure. And so when you're given a quarterback who, Chumlee reminds me of a quarterback where it's like Baker Mayfield. He reminds me a lot of Baker Mayfield, because he's a quarterback that if you give him time, he is not trash by any means. If you pressure him and don't give him that chance, you can keep him under wraps. He's not going to always just create that play, but he could definitely win you games. And he was locked in. And that game-winning touchdown to Jordy Johnson at the end in overtime, I mean, that was an absolute dime on sliders that we had, where accuracy, you really had to make sure you threw it to get it there, because if not, we were seeing a lot of low diving passes, some passes not even making it past the line. And so for him to throw that kind of pass under those circumstances and place that there already shows you what type of talent that he actually does have. And to be able to make that throw on a dime with some, I'd say it was good looking coverage. I don't know why the defensive back dove. I guess he thought he was really going to knock it down, but definitely misjudged it, and it cost them the game. And Jordy Johnson just took it all the way to the house there. And so huge win for Roland, huge win for the Armadillos. And for the question again, I mean, definitely the Armadillos stepped up, and definitely it was a bad loss for the Steamers. And so I'll end that with another bell for them. And then we talk about the main event game, which was the Huskies and the Diablos. The last game we'll dive into. Shout out to Sultan for the $5 donation. Shout out to everyone who signed up as a member as well to the RFL YouTube channel. I know guys were doing that earlier. I was just locked in, making sure I was, keeping up with things. But thank you guys. Sultan says preseason in week 1 for the Steamers was night and day. I don't believe that that'll happen again. # Steam Team. Definitely agree there. And again, like I said, it's just the defensive side of the ball, I would have to say, was what really made that become a factor, because the offense was definitely there. Moving on to that last game, the Huskies and the Diablos here. I mean, How about that second half comeback? These guys were down 21-6 in the first half. Calvin Poole was absolutely ripping them and showing us like, yo, this is why we knew he was going to be that guy for the Huskies moving forward, especially with the pieces he's had. He was hooking up with Keith Guyton, had over 100 yards with him in the first half and everything. Just barely missing any passes, but night and day was the first and the second half, just like how Sultan said. And the defense was able to come up big, even though Calvin Poole missed a lot of crucial throws that could have separated them to win this game. There's like 3 deep bombs down the field that just were off the mark where he had them wide open, and that really hurt him. And then you just saw the Diablos come back and win this game, outscoring the Huskies 28-3 in that second half. And it wasn't like they were playing bad, to be honest. It's just the turnovers. The turnovers was killing them. Lane Kearney was throwing the football. Axel was doing what he could with the carries he was getting. And, once they smoothed that out, once they stopped the turnovers and cut down on that, it was just a completely different ball game in that second half. Yeah. And they were able to swing it 34-24. What's your thoughts on that comeback? And what does that tell you about the Diablos in that second half? And also, what did you get from Calvin Poole in that first half, showing us what he is capable of doing? And then in the second half, just seeing it was like, oh man, this was a different outing this time, man. What happened?
Yeah. Well, I think I can say this. So I got a shout out to Coach Forbes, because he donated the game to testing. Not many coaches will do that, man. We all have our own theories about how many times the game is played and if it's going to be right or not. So for the theorist out there, I'm a theorist in a sense, right? And I think that anything past one play, it's kind of sketchy, So I don't really count this in my theorist book, right? However, big salute to Forbes for donating so we could get the sliders for week 2. I'm really excited about those. Let's get to this game though. It played out in the sim, fair and square, and the Huskies. In my opinion, I think that Calvin Poole looks amazing, man. I like what Calvin Poole looks like for this being his first. This is his first year starting, and I think that the way he looked is absolutely amazing. That's how you want your quarterback to look. He looks great, right? So I think that he's definitely the future for the Huskies. I think he's going to have some crazy upswing, especially there in the ARC North, battling out with the rest of the teams. Looked amazing. Now, Guyton, boy,
beast.
If there's any argument about who's the better wide receiver, my boy Bill's here. He's not here. He's listening right now.
Probably fuming up like, man.
Bill, we love CJ, man. We know CJ is a dog. I'm not going to take anything away from CJ. But Keith Guyton, man, jeez, bro.
11 catches, 135 yards in a tutty.
And that was light. That was light for Keith, man. Now I got to jump over, right? Also, Huskies are still hitting too.
Yeah,
I've been noticing that, but those guys are still down there hitting, man. For to be as old as they are, they've lost some players on that defense. They used to be worse than that, but they're still out there hitting. Leonidas wasn't hitting on anything though. Now for the Diablos, hats off to Forbes, man. Because Forbes was in the sauna, man. Forbes was in the sauna, man. He was worried. He was stressed, boy. He was DMing.
Okay, got it. Little break up here. Hopefully it spins back.
He went during the game, man. He's like, boy, Vix, are we going to take this? And I think that, we can't forget that Forbes is actually a pretty good coach. I don't know his win record. I'm not sure if that's been calculated, but he's been a pretty good coach for the Diablos. Like, they don't sell much. So we got to remember that coach is back there behind the scenes tweaking some things. But Diablos looked really, really good in that second half. I know, guys, I see you highlighting Drake Willis there. I know guys are happy about it. Go back to Drake Willis for a second, Speedy, if you can.
Willis.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't bugging. TCU. Mm-hmm. Yeah, TCU, man. Yeah, man. It's looking like the Diablos though are gonna be all right, man. I think they're gonna be okay. They're not a bad team. I see my boy Sharpie too out here. 89, man. You looking pretty good, boy. You know what I'm saying? I like to see, USC, right? Yeah, I like to see those guys who've been around supporting the league. get into a game and look at this, man. 8 receptions. I said 89 is going crazy right now. Um, so yeah, man, I gotta give the respect to the Diablos on this one because the Huskies are not an easy team, and this is the first time that Forbes did get a chance to even properly in my opinion, right, he didn't really get a chance to properly game plan against the Huskies. It's just like that's your first game, you've never played them before, so you don't really know what to expect. I've played the Hogs, so I know what to do with the Hogs. But like he didn't really have a chance to face the Huskies in week 1. So you're telling me that he comes back and gets a comeback win against the Huskies, one of the better teams in the ARC? That's a big statement for the NRC guys and a big statement for Forbes. Big salute to the Diablos, man. Fire, pun intended.
All right, so those are the main topics from the week 1 games that we wanted to dive into. And so I will actually switch the screen because apparently a game was played. So I can't show anything.
A game was played for week 1?
Yeah, a game was played for week 2, I mean.
For week 2?
Yeah,
Who played it?
Well,
they already streamed the game?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we don't want to air them out. We don't want to air them out.
Yeah. So so a game played, unable to show you guys that. But we'll dive into next, and we can't do the division standings now because of that as well.
Oof.
So I guess you'll just have to look at that on the RFL Neon Sports Discord link if you've got that. Again, I don't have a graphic loaded up on this section right here, but
you want me to read them off real quick or
no, it's all good. You can
I think I can. I should be able, if you want me to. I can. Okay.
No, it's all good.
Right.
Is anybody able to if you got the link to Neon Sports, drop that in the chat for guys interested in keeping up with the league, with standings, stats, all that. Make sure you go ahead and drop that. I also managed to get the schedule on Neon Sports for you guys to see the whole thing. The only thing missing though is week 4. I don't know what's going on, but the app will not allow me to export the schedule for that week. So everything else, you can see the entire schedule for every team and everything else that you need to see that's going on in the league from there. So we can't do the division standings right now, but what we can do next is the top 10 power rankings. So you saw the top 10 power rankings earlier. These are the top 10 power rankings heading into week 2. Let me get this background up. And here we go. So we've got the Bulldogs still at number 1. The Explorers moving up a spot to number 2. Thunderbirds dropping down to number 3. Diablos jumping 2 spaces over the Steamers and the Snowhawks to number 4. Steamers and Snowhawks going down as the Steamers go to 5. Snowhawks 1. 5. Snowhawks 6. Huskies staying at 7. Miners move up over the Voyagers to 8. The Voyagers drop down to 9, and the Bulls still there at number 10. So this is going to be a graphic that will be getting posted up on our social media, but that is the top 10 power rankings moving into week 2. What's your thoughts on this here, Robin? Is there any teams that you feel might be pushing this list, coming next week after this week that we have coming?
Well, it just depends. In a normal week for sliders, I would say that if this was a normal week for sliders, then I would think that the Miners probably should be above the Huskies and maybe even above the Snowhawks because they played the Bulldogs and they only limited them to 27 points in that game. So I feel like with the Snowhawks, the terrible loss to the Crusaders, who are not even on this list, and also the Huskies. Look, you can't be up like that and then allow the comeback. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like the Miners should be a little bit higher than this. The Steam team as well, man. I mean, that's kind of interesting, So I think the Miners are definitely pushing this here. I have to say, I did not see the Voyagers game, so I don't really know what the Voyagers, how they lost in what fashion.
Yeah, they lost to the Shamrocks 27-9.
Okay.
The thing about it, I still did factor in the fact that for the first week, I'm like, even though we had great games, guys, I think that things are going to look way different moving forward based off of the changes that we have coming. So with that, I took it with a grain of salt. I did take
Yeah.
in some of, okay, this is what happened, but do I feel like moving forward that's going to happen or affect the team like that? No. So that's where I was just like, I'm not going to fully penalize the Snowhawks. I know
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
talent they got. I'm not going to fully penalize, of course, the Steamers because, again, they look great. If the defense was more of a factor, I think that they even, they dominate the Armadillos. They kind of were in the beginning, but the defense just really just wasn't doing anything. So,
Yeah.
it's a lot that's to come. But again, I was just like, let me just change around some things. And then as the season goes on, wherever the chips may fall for teams to go, that's going to happen. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I went about placing the top 10 power rankings. Week 2 is definitely going to tell us a lot. I feel like this might move around. If these teams show what we expect them to do, then this probably won't move around too much. But if they don't, you can expect this top 10 power ranking list for week 3 to shift a lot. So that's all I have really on that. Anything else you want to say, or ready to move on to?
No, like again, these, how I feel about these power rankings, man. I always wait too. I like to wait way too early, man. Week 4 was gonna actually week 5 now is gonna actually tell me everything I need to know about who is who and what is what. So I'm fine with the way this looks right here. I just kind of think that some of the teams at the bottom of this list are pushing. Well, definitely the Miners are pushing this list here, and I want to see if those Crusaders and Armadillos. Or who they are they who we think they are? So yeah.
All right, so that is the top 10 power rankings, and already we are on the final topic for the podcast. So this is us diving into the week 2 prediction. So here is the schedule coming up, and then after we do this, we'll open the floor for you guys to ask us any questions, and we'll just answer them there live. So here is what we have this week. Black Knights and the Bulldogs kicking us off on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Rob Roby will be in the booth calling that. I'm going to have to get with Bill and Dunn and see what we can do to try to get them having their first games on Tuesday. So keep in mind for that. There's a possibility if they don't, I'll have to see what could go down if I could call that Aviators and Bison's game. But the Armadillos Shamrocks will be at 7 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, and that Aviators Bison's game will be at 9 p.m. Eastern the same day. Then we go into the premier games on Wednesday. We got the Desperados, Marquise, Washington taking on LC3 and his Thunderbirds in Atlanta at 4 p.m. Eastern, as well as the Pittsburgh Pioneers traveling over to Toronto, up north even further, to take on the Huskies. That's the 4 p.m. slot games. The 6 p.m. slot games, we have another NRC West Division rivalry. And these guys are playing each other nonstop the first 5 to 6 weeks games. First to 5 weeks of the season. So expect almost the division to be determined by what happens within that time, which is just crazy. Elks taking on the Crusaders, and the Condors taking on the Snowhawks, both at 6 p.m. Eastern. Should be some great games. And then to end off at 8 p.m. Eastern, the Wednesday premier games, we have the Miners and the Red Dragons going at it as division rivals, and then the Barons and the Marshalls. Both of those teams right there looking for their first wins of the season. Then we get into Thursday, the premier games. We got the Monarchs taking on the Hogs, and the Lumberjacks and the Celtic Tigers going at it at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then following that game at 6 p.m. Eastern, the Gunners and the Bulls, followed by also with the Diablos and the Tigers. So that's a NRC South Division rivalry that we have going on there. And then to end off Thursday's premier games, we have at 8 p.m. Eastern the Dreadnoughts and the Voyagers. So 2 coaches going at it head-to-head right there, along with 2 more coaches going at it head-to-head, the Orlando Sentinels and the Chicago Cougars. And then, of course, our game of the week, we know this is a big one. It's the Explorers and the Steamers on Friday. I'll be in the booth calling that one to close us out, and what should make for a great game. So let's go ahead and go through these games and say who we think's going to win. So, Black Knights, Bulldogs. Who you got, Rob?
I got the Bulldogs in this one. I think that the jig is up, and now that offensive line has to block the best defensive line, or it's one of the best defensive lines or best defenses in the league. And I don't think that Gino's going to be able to dance around that on All Pro.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you on that as well. I think the Bulldogs get it done. With of course with the changes, you're going to get a lot more of a defensive presence. So I feel that the Bulldogs, yeah, they're definitely going to overwhelm that line. Armadillos and Shamrocks. These are two teams that you just mentioned that, hey, they shock. Are they really who they say they are? And now they get to prove it
Yeah.
against each other literally the very next week. Shamrocks, Armadillos, who you taking?
I'm going with Wilson and the boys, man.
All right.
I gotta, yeah. I've just got a feeling. I don't know. I'm not gonna take anything away from Roland. Great week. But I just got a feeling now that he's gonna play a team that it can punch. That's gonna definitely punch back. And he's gonna have to stop this QB, this veteran QB. So yeah, I'm gonna go Shamrocks. Shamrocks, and I think by 10. Shamrocks by 10 in this one. I think they got, yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be the Shams.
I'm gonna slide with the Shams and Wilson as well, man. Especially with that home field advantage. I know they're both of these teams are riding high off of their first game wins. I mean, they literally beat two of the more prominent teams in the league, in the Voyagers and the Steamers. So they're both, one of these guys is going to knock off the steam off the other one. And I do think I'm going to go to Shams. You good?
I can't hear you right now.
Oh, okay. It's probably coming back. Can you hear me now?
Now, Smitty, if you're saying anything.
Okay, I think it's good now. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so Aviators and Bisons. Who you got?
I'm gonna go Bisons on this one, man. I don't think Bane gets it done against Mac and the boys, and I think that I don't know, man. I looked at Torres, and I think Torres. Honestly, I think that he's probably gonna abuse the Aviators, man. And I say that only because of this halfback that he has in the backfield, and I think that he's coming. Wait, hold on. This is
Kadron Lusk.
Yeah, he's coming home. So
yeah,
that should be yeah.
Well, he's facing his old team.
Yeah. Faces his old. Yeah, I'm sorry, not coming home, but yeah, faces his old team. Yeah. But no, yeah, I think that.
Oh man, hopefully.
Now, and I think that this is actually favored for the Bisons to actually win, and you just might actually see Joseph Torres in his prime dismantle the Aviators, man. So we're gonna see. So I'm gonna go Bisons all the way with this one.
I'm gonna say this: as much as I had faith, and the whole reason I wanted to re-sign Torres is because I think he's definitely gonna he has potential to be a good quarterback moving forward in the future. You know, a lot of guys didn't want him re-signed. Didn't think, he's not playing well. But of course, you know, when you're a young quarterback, that happens. You know, you're not going to ball. You're not going to win every game all the time. And I definitely talked with him. I said, hey, man, you willing to come back? Because honestly, I just kind of threw it up in the air. If he didn't want to come back, then I'll try to see if we can move on. If he did want to come back, then we brought him back. And he wanted to come back. And I think he's going to be solid. But I don't know what it was. I just feel like Kyle Bain in this game is he's going to get it done without it just being in a throwing game.
Okay.
And so what I mean by that is I really feel that like the run game is going to be tough for the Bisons to stop, and not just the run game just because of 2K, the run game because of Bain himself. If they send pressure, they get pressure there. Even if they don't, Bain is such a dynamic scrambler, and this Madden really aids him in a big way. He doesn't have to kill you with the pass game. We already know his receivers aren't all that, but he's got some good ones. I mean, Cruz is still a good receiver, but mainly Holland. Holland is a really good older receiver, and I mean, he made plays even this past week. So I kind of feel that the Aviators are going to get this done. I don't know why, but I think they just get it done on a roll. I just have a feeling. So I'm going with the Aviators here on this one. All right, Thunderbirds and Desperados. So you got Marquise Washington, first time facing up against the T-Birds defense. I forgot to bring up injuries too. So there is a big loss to the Thunderbirds. They will not be without their top defensive end, Max Knight. They will at least still have Isaiah Ingram, but could that be exploited with as good of a running back as Tavion Hall is? Because their backup depth really is not good at all. And so that could be a big thing to look out for there. Who you got, though, in this matchup in Atlanta?
So the key to this game is not going to be what you think it is. The Thunderbirds have a very good team, and it doesn't matter if they lose Max Knight. They've got a whole bunch of other players that can easily fill his shoes. The key to this game, though, is going to be whether or not they can stop Marquise Washington from moving the ball down the field with no names, putting them in positions, right? The other key to this game is going to be whether or not the Thunderbirds can stop Tavion Hall, when Marquise Washington is not playing as well. Now, they're very lucky that these abilities are not on, because if the abilities were on and both of those guys are, we've seen this before when with the Thunderbirds when they get heated up, right? And so I'm actually gonna take just because I'm going to actually take the Desperados in an upset in this game. I think this is probably going to be a back and forth affair. But I think the other thing too, and I'm going to challenge these DBs of the Thunderbirds, man. Listen, guys, you got to make some tackles, man, and they got to be good tackles. I know they're going to say, "Oh, well, we've got the wide receivers. Can they guard us? Can they hold us?" Right? And that's going to be interesting to see too. They do have some pretty sweet receivers. But I want to see whether or not they're able to pipe down. Oh, boy, did I say that? What in the world? I want pause. I want to see if they're able to stop Tavion Hall altogether, and if they're able to stop Marquise Washington, man, from making magic with no names, man. So that's going to be interesting to see.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna still go with the Thunderbirds. I feel like that's a game regardless of that loss. I mean, again, it's a significant loss. Do they have other players on that defense that should still make that defense tough? Yeah, but a defensive end, I think their best defensive end rotating in is like a 70. And so if that guy doesn't handle his business on that edge, and you got Tavion Hall exploiting that in the game that says, hey, we're hitting that on them stretches, and they seal that. Only reason I really don't have too much confidence in that, though, is their line is not that good. If they don't have a good line to begin with, then I think that whoever the backup is going to have a good opportunity to do his job to begin with. So the Thunderbirds should be able to walk out of this especially with the home field.
And you know me, man, I could easily just say the Thunderbirds because of just who they have, but I just like the underdog, so that's why I'm calling the Dorados here.
Yeah, and it's the division game now, so you never know. We got the Pioneers and the Huskies. Who you got?
Huskies. Landslide. It's over.
Yeah, and Pioneers without their top second-year receiver out of Baylor, DJ Evans. He got injured. I think he's gone for 3 to 4 weeks, so that's a big loss as a receiving option for them. They did good against the Thunderbirds, but I do feel like now with the changes, this defense now being more of a presence, especially on that D-line, again, we know that the line of the Pioneers, not that good. We know that their quarterback's very young. You got a rookie there as a backup who actually got to throw a touchdown. I'm going to play a bell for Javi, though, man. Hey, Javi, you still look decent, but I'm going to bail you and give a shout-out to Devin Diggs, because Devin Diggs literally was able to get an opportunity off of an injury to Javier and throw a touchdown before he could, which is crazy. But, so at the end of the day, I just feel like that's going to be a big factor. And the way we saw them look against the Diablos, man, especially now with defense being more of a presence, Huskies, they should have that in the bag, especially at home in Toronto. All right, Elks and Crusaders.
I'm going Ben Wakefield, unless for some reason Colorado Rivers suits up and joins the Elks. He's talking about that last night, man. The guy wants to be an Elk. So, I'm going Ben Wakefield and the Crusaders over this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I mean, Elks still, even with I'd say things that could have been in their advantage last week, just really didn't show much of anything against the Condors, and Condors very much similar to the Crusaders. So definitely got the Crusaders and wake and bake in that one. All right, we got the Snowhawks. They got home field advantage once again. We know they got embarrassed by the Crusaders. Do you think they get it done against the Condors this week, or will they start out 0-2?
It's hard to say if Gidley is going to, play the way he played and that defense is going to yield. Then McCoy should have a field day, doing what he does. Also, I like the pieces on the defense here for the Condors as well. So my mind wants me to tell me that the AI gets it together and Gidley goes crazy this week on All Pro. But at the same time, McCoy, man, is a very good veteran, knows how to slice and dice, and they are a little bit underdeveloped. Not that they don't have studs on the defense, they're just underdeveloped in that linebacker core, and they're facing a veteran QB that doesn't miss. So anything going to tight ends and wide receivers on drags and stuff like that might be a problem for the Snowhawks linebacker core. So I'm going to challenge these guys here to see if they can stop Chase McCoy.
All right. Next up, we got my bad. Something's going on. Miners and the Red Dragons.
I'm only taking the Miners because I have not heard much from Coach Davis. I mean, as far as like talking, I know he doesn't really talk too much, but I'm not sure what is going on with the Red Dragons. I don't know. It's inconclusive for me. So I'm going Miners because I've heard and I've been watching the podcast and hear the guys talking and they're so I just think that they're just I think that they're ready this year, man. The Miners are definitely ready this year, bro. So I'm gonna go Miners here. I do like the pickup with Locker. I do like the way Fry has looked. They didn't really get a chance to exploit Pavo much, but I feel that they've got some chemistry going with this team. I want to say that is Savoy still. I think I saw Savoy pop into the Discord too, man. So back, yeah. He's got to be still at quarterback. You know how he does, man. So he popped in earlier today. So I said, oh, there he is. I just don't. I'm inconclusive right now, guys. I'll be honest. I've been away for a while. I don't really know what's going on with the Red Dragons right now. So my mind just says that hey, the Miners got it going on. So I'm going Miners.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Miners here too. I still feel like the Red Dragons kind of remind me of the stage that the Celtic Tigers are in now. They're just an older team. Defense is definitely shot compared to years past. They usually have one of the best defenses, if not some seasons the best defense in the league.
That went down,
and that went down tremendously. And I think that definitely works in favor of the Miners because you still got a developing quarterback in Miles McCain, who I think can definitely exploit that. And then you get a look at the type of defense that the Miners do have, with it now possibly even being even more of a factor. I think they have what it takes to slow the Red Dragons down. So I'm gonna go with the the Miners there on the road. Then for the last game on Wednesday, Barons and Marshalls. What do you got?
Yeah. Funniest quote I saw all week, man, was it wasn't rolling. So I don't know who said that, man, but I lurked behind the games, man. Someone said it wasn't rolling. So
I didn't cut out.
So I'm sorry, Q, man. I love you, man. But I think that this is gonna go to Leo Moon and the Marshalls, man. I'm going Marshalls.
Yeah, this is a tough one, but just going based off of what happened in week 1, both teams lost.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about Brinker. Of course, changes might make him better because this offense should be clicking and really airing defenses out. But I think that what is?
Wait, Smitty, is Lito gonna be on QPOC? Because that's got to be the matchup of the century. For members,
for the benefits, he can't be. If he's the best corner, he's got to be on Amari Manuel. Because if you leave Amari Manuel on anybody else, even Joel Howard, and he's a rookie anyway, against him, they're getting fried. So I just
members wise,
I just
freeze
can't.
Going on here. So
it's a freeze. Oh my goodness!
I had a freeze. What did you say? Yes or no?
I was saying no. It can't because of Amari Manuel. Who's
Amari Manuel.
You need to have your best corner on Amari Manuel. If you don't have Lito on Amari Manuel, Joel Howard is getting cooked the next Sunday. I'm sorry. And Joel, you my guy, bro. But that ain't going.
Yeah.
That just can't fly, man. We're trying to win a game in DC. That's how you get it done.
I got you.
Can't just be a fan contest or what if matchup. Now we need to win a game. So who I'm going to go with here in this matchup, I'm going to go to the Marshals just based off how week 1 went. And so not really too much to say there, but just that. Okay, Monarchs and Hogs.
I'm going to go. Wait, how many points did the Monarchs put up this week?
They put up 13. They played the Marshals in that defensive game. 10-13 was the final.
This might be a close game. I'm going to lean this to the favor of the Hogs. And the key player here going to be Mr. Ronnie Shanahan. I'm not giving PC the savior role, man. The key player is going to be Ronnie Shanahan here, and AW, man. You know, want to see. I want to see what AW is able to do here. So I'm gonna lean this to the Hogs, man. Salute to you, Ramos, man. I think it's gonna be favored for the Hogs at home here.
I'm gonna go ahead with the Monarchs. I mean, even though the Hogs were able to pull out that win last week in a tough defensive game, they
only scored 10 points though.
Yeah. I mean, but both teams were in a tough defensive game last week. So like for me, I just feel like the Marshals. I mean, I said the Marshals. The Monarchs are just a better overall team, and with the changes that's coming, with more pressure that could very much dictate Ronnie Shanahan. I still feel like he has a lot.
Charles Turner.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with
Wait,
the
somebody else too. Who was it? Charles Turner and somebody
Bolt.
else on that defense. Oh yeah.
Yeah, for the Hogs. But you look at the
Monarchs,
no about they got a good offensive line, so like that might not be too much of an issue for them.
But Cougs had to correct me. It was Stinson that got slippery off of Ronnie Shanahan. But best believe that Bo and Turner ain't.
Well, Bo and Turner, they're on the Hogs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For I see. I'm sorry. I'm tripping. What's the matter with me?
No, it's all good.
I tried to connect something real quick, but I'm what's the matter with me?
It's all good, man. But I'm gonna go with the Monarchs in that one. Okay, Celtic Tigers and Lumberjacks, both teams losing close game. Who you going with?
I hate to count CT out, man. I think Jones gets it together this week. Shout out to Granger, boy. Granger was hype on that game, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was definitely
he was hype, man. You can't look. You got the Lumberjacks. You got to take them seriously, bro. I'm gonna still nod to CT and Jones though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Celtic Tigers as well. I feel like that game last week they could have won. It was just missed opportunities on throws from Jones, but you don't see that often. So I think that especially also with Lumberjacks still having their quarterback in Jordan Granger, you're going to see those mistakes kind of like how you saw in that Bulls game. So I'm going with CT. Okay, Gunners and Bulls.
This is going to be dictated by Jabri Jackson. Defensively, are the Bulls in a position to stop Jabri Jackson? That's what I want to see. I have no idea, but I just feel that I know Wade is on the other side there, and I know how you feel about Wade. But I think that the star of the occasion here, the poster boy, is Jabri Jackson. He's the veteran QB here, and I just want to see whether or not the Bulls can stop Jabri Jackson. So that's going to be interesting to see. So I'm going to call it Gunners over the Bulls here, upset.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Bulls at home. I think they look pretty solid. Another thing I forgot to mention again when we talk about injuries, Lumberjacks are injured up big time. They lost 3 big players. Just to bring that back up, they lost Tim Pennington, which was a 97 overall edge rusher. They lost their tight end Trent Hobbs, who's an 86 overall, and an offensive lineman who's a 77. So definitely in favor of CT there. And the Bulls and Gunners. I think the Gunners lost a player. Can't remember off the top of my head. So they're without a guy. And what concerns me about the Gunners is the defense. And that's kind of why I feel like the Desperados separated. But this is not the only season that that's happened. I mean, since what happened in season 7 after all those trades and everything that really put the Gunners in a bad place, I feel like the Gunners, they still are hurting in that area. And, man, I don't know if guys have been paying attention to this underrated running back in the league for the last couple of years, but this guy's been traveling with Devin Wade, and Trayvon Hurd is a monster. He can catch out the backfield. His running is crazy. And I didn't see any long-lasting injuries to David Jones. So David Jones back in the fold. I think they do damage on that defense. So I'm going with the Bulls. Okay, the Diablos and the Tigers. Division rivalry game. What you got?
Close one, man. My gut wants to tell me that the Tigers went out fighting against number 2, number 3, whatever you want to say, number 1, whatever, Explorers. They're at home. Diablos looked pretty bad in the first half of their game. Nice comeback. I'm going to go with the Tigers on this one. I think they put up a good fight. And I think that unless Forbes, unless it was a game setting, the game mode, right? Forbes has to figure some things out because they got up really quick on him last week. And he was fortunate enough to have the comeback play effects, right? So I'm going to say that the way the Tigers looked against the Explorers, man, you know what I mean? Like the way they looked against the Explorers, wow, I could not believe that. So, yeah, I'm going to go Tigers at home. Not a blowout, narrow margin, 7-10. Yeah.
All right, I'll take the Diablos in that one. I think, I do think it's going to be a pretty good competitive game. But I just feel like the Diablos going to find a way to win there. Not too much going. All right, Voyagers and the Dreadnoughts. You got Coach Frankie or Coach Baker?
This is hard one, man. It's nothing against any of these teams, really. Boy, this is hard, bro. This is a difficult one here. I'm waiting for this one. I really don't want to make a decision, but I'm just gonna go any, mini, miny, mo here. Cam Jones is on fire right now. Voyagers took an L, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, who's guarding Cam Jones?
Don't matter who's guarding Cam Jones. That's the question.
Who's guarding Cam Jones, man? Now we do got some defense, some studs on the defense there. Baker is very good at exploiting players, so look out for that. Look out for some kind of mismatch against the Dreadnoughts here. But Cam Jones, man. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
All right, I'm going to go with the Voyagers here. I think that first week, was definitely something that caught them off guard. The defense was really a no-show, and that's really what cost them. Again, for week 1, that cost a lot of teams. And with the change-ups, I feel like one of the better defensive teams that can really disrupt the offense is the Voyagers. So I feel like Owen Jack is going to have a much harder day to try to do what he did in the opening week's game against the Voyagers. So I'm going with the Voyagers and Coach Baker there. Don't predict your game. I guess what I'll do is I'll say who I think would win, and then you just give your thoughts going into the game. So I do have you guys winning. I really feel like the secondary is going to be struggling against what you have there on offense, but the big question is going to be the quarterback play. We'll see how that looks. But it should look as good as it's going to against that defense, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that the Sentinels defense is all too bad, but we saw even though it's going to be a change with settings, this defense definitely has some areas, a lot of holes that can be exploited, and I feel like the firepower is there for you. So, what's your thoughts going into that matchup against Coach Tor?
Yeah, you're not wrong at all, bro. Can you hear me right now? Speaking?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, yeah, you're not wrong at all. We've got to figure out how to score, man. I'm not worried about my defense at all. I've got some weapons, as you rightfully said, that honestly they should exploit most teams. And nothing against the Sentinels, but I know they're going to take it some kind of way. But their DBs cannot hold my wide receivers whatsoever. So we have an issue though, which is starting to come out now. I've got to figure out this QB play because it's not coming together for us right now. I've been doing everything I can. Y'all know I'm in the lab. Guys know, bro. Even today I was testing every single playbook today, bro, trying to find how can I get this guy to throw touchdowns as he rightfully should. But I'm not going to bash the Sentinels and everything. But I will say that there's been some talk, some talk going on. MSJ, Flames, kind of playing both sides. Although I saw him get his win check the other day, but there's been some talk, man. So I'm just saying, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I can figure it out by next Thursday, and if I do, boy, might be some embarrassing moments. Because that I'm just saying, bro. You look, just check the roster, man. Come on, man. I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there.
All right.
Straight up.
For the last game of the week, Explorers and Steamers in Memphis. Who you got?
I am gonna go with the Explorers, bro. Coachless Jones. I think the favor goes to the Explorers, man. I think you got to still give Bill that respect. He's just a great head coach here in the league. He's got a lot of pieces, so I'm gonna go with Bill.
Yeah, I think especially I think even though they almost blew a 31-0 lead, it tells you about a team that still finds a way to win, and it tells you about when you got a quarterback that has that built in them. It kind of reminds me of the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs. You see the Chiefs getting a lot of games, or you're like, a lot of people say, oh, the refs helping them, whatever it is. I think it's more so just a good, talented team with a chemistry of just knowing what it takes to win. And the Explorers are a team that is just like that, in my opinion. And so after what we saw Daryl Johnson do, the way they had handled that adversity when things were really going against them, I think they could get that done. And it's going to be very exciting because we saw the Steamers offense do what they usually do. Hopefully the defense steps it up because they're going to have to going up against DJ. But yeah, I'm going to take the Explorers. I just think that this is a team through that adversity has find ways to win, and with the adversity of being on the road in Memphis, I think they get it done. So with that, that is all we have to cover here in the RFL podcast, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we're not closing it out yet. We're going to go ahead and leave it out for questions. So any questions you guys got for us on the podcast right now, just go ahead, feel free to type it in the chat. Rob, you can go ahead, search in there. I got to step away for a quick second, so what I'm going to do is turn my video off, but I'll be right back. If you see anything you want to answer, feel free to answer.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Pause for questions. Let me see what we got here. So I see a question from Sharp. He says, oh, Speedy, I can hear your echo. He forgot to review. I guess it doesn't matter. So it says, how come the abilities aren't on? It was just a collective decision by the coaches union, which is all the head coaches, that we thought that the abilities made the game rather glitchy. And we thought that in a sense that, the gameplay would be much better if we took them off. So it was a vote, and it was a unanimous decision amongst coaches and coordinators to take the abilities off. And so that's what the decision that was made there. And honestly, I think that next week you'll see a lot better gameplay on All Pro without them. Okay, there's another question here. Do you think the Crusaders are underrated? Very much so. I think they're underrated, but at the same time, they still need pieces, Chrome. Like they're not. I don't think that they're, mid or anything. I just think that they just don't have, the pieces that they need. And I think that unfortunately, Ben Wakefield's going to retire without probably a reload bowl, but a great stat line, in my opinion. Let's see. Early reload bowl. No, way too early for me, man. Maybe Smitty will answer that. I'm not going to answer that question there. No reload bowl matchup predictions for me yet until I've got to see at least 9 weeks, half the season to see. Because this is very new for us. There's no more forced wins now. So losses are huge now. And wins are huge as well. So especially since we're playing it all out, not simulating the win. So that's going to be, in my opinion, a lot more interesting now. Getting a win is so big. So big kudos to all the teams who won this week. It's huge going forward here in the league now. Let's see. Is there a way to become a commentator? Yeah, go online, send us an email, send us your commentary of whatever game you've ever commentated over, particularly football, hopefully,
Yeah,
so
and
we can
if
see.
you and let it be recent.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
literally, we want to see something recent. Stream something right. If you don't have any games to show us, I want you to take whatever settings you see of the league. If you're trying to commentate, look at the length in which our games is, and send me a couple
Mhm.
full games with you going all in, from start to finish, all 4 quarters of 14 minutes. Now, I want to see if you have what it takes to be able to last throughout that duration,
Mhm.
and probably maintain an audience, whatever it is. Um, so if you can do that, that gives you a good shot. But another thing too is, even if you do all of that right, the biggest thing is consistency. So if you say, "Hey, I could call those Tuesdays games," I'm expecting you to be there Tuesday. If you're not, if you're constantly like, "Oh man, I thought I could do it, but I can't do it," you'll find yourself just not getting contacted, and I'll just fall back, and you won't be used anymore. So make sure that if you really want to get into that, it's something that you can do, because what we're looking for is, we got Monday and Friday really covered with me and Rob. We're good there. Tuesday we got Bill in the mix now. Um, and we're looking, if you're trying to get on, Tuesday is a good spot. So if you got Tuesday open and you're looking to be a commentator, and also, I'm gonna keep it real with you. If you sound good, I'll give you an opportunity. If you don't sound good, I'm gonna let you know, and I'm gonna tell you what things you need to work on, or if you even fit for it at all, and depends on what you do with that information. If that's the case, then just feel free to fall back and just be a fan, man. But I will let you know if I feel like you're fit for the position. But if that's all good, go ahead, sign up on the website.
Not trying to knock you down, Pat, but I see what you're saying there. But it probably would be better for him to do an NFL game if he watches NFL, because otherwise he'll be confused about who our players are.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense. And if you don't know the players, and it gets worse, right? So he probably should do NFL with his favorite team, so that we can see what he sounds like in his element, knowing what he's talking about. But not to shoot you down at all. I'm just saying he. I'm just gonna go back for a second. Uh, Chrome, yeah, I think he's underrated as well. Uh, let's see. Kai, in his college days, McCall was a great intermediate thrower. What can the Cougars do to help him propel the Cougars to become? So, I'm just saying, I like my storyline here, man. I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm trying to figure out this quarterbacks in general. I struggled with Gino Gannon as well. I do still believe that the game just screwed me. But that's just my own opinion, and I'm sticking by it. I'm trying with McCall too, man. It's been raised. Should I get an offensive coordinator? That came up today, uh, which absolutely broke my heart. but it's a business, as CP likes to say. And so I've kind of considered, do I need to get an offensive coordinator? Because like guys, today I spent 4 hours. I ran every single playbook, and I was just trying to find a playbook that McCall could go down and score on the first drive. And I tried every single last playbook. Well, I tried 24. I got 6 more to do, and I get off here. But I tried them, and I took notes, detailed notes on exactly what happened. I'm trying my best, man. But I don't know, bro. I don't have the answer, Sway. So once I get it, though, I cannot wait, because we have too many weapons to be playing like we're playing here.
Yeah, and
Let's see.
sometimes it really comes down to, like, no one's gonna have that perfect player at that position. Like, you could have a great player, like Daryl Johnson's even going to struggle. There's going to be times where he's just playing trash, and we've seen it. Like, even last season, he's had some games where he just wasn't, doing what he needed to do. You're just not going to have that quarterback that's going to constantly score. Now, that can happen, but sometimes it's just not in the cards based off of what you have. And McCall, When I look at him, he's a good quarterback, yeah, but he's still a development quarterback. Like, and what I mean by that is like he's definitely, I say about average, and maybe slightly above. It's just one of those things where like maybe a playbook isn't going to fit directly with him. He's going to have those mistakes, but is it enough to keep the team afloat for now? I feel like he's just one of those quarterbacks at the moment, and he could be that bigger quarterback later on. But there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league like that. A ton of quarterbacks in the league like that. The only guys you could think of that's been just about automatic and from transferring to Madden to Madden is, if interceptions aren't involved with high interception Madden, you talk about LC3, you talk about Reed Wagner, so the other guy. I mean, I used to be Gidley, but now you even see that. That's a great example of, a great quarterback just not being consistent for whatever reason, you know? And it's kind of just like you just got to deal with what you got. He's not going to give you that high offense with the weapons you got, but he might be enough to, still win you those games. So that's kind of how I look at the situation when it comes to him.
Joshua Prince, Discord invites were sent out today. Smitty, I don't know if you were able to send one to Joshua Prince, but I mean, if you did it while we were on the podcast, and of course,
Yeah, he
you
said I
know, but
applied today.
I know he
Yeah,
sent
if you
out.
applied today, then no,
Yeah.
you won't get one. Probably
Okay.
until next week. I just sent them out to the guys who applied. So expect to get yours probably next Saturday. Um, yeah, because there's a lot that I have going on to even have to check to see if anybody else did something. So yeah, just be on the lookout on your emails from Friday to Sunday next week.
Yankee, how would one become a coordinator? It's just about applying, I believe, Smitty, for the most part. But we do have guidelines, and you have to have experience and everything. Like honestly, if there was like a pool of coordinators who had experience in Madden, I'd probably dive right in the way I feel right now. But you know, you got to have experience to be able to show us like proof that you've been doing this.
Yeah,
We can't just
some
go off of
guys.
hearsay, you know.
Yeah, if a coach wants to give you that shot, that's on the coach. Um,
Yeah,
but like guys like Rob, like you're saying, he may be looking for an offensive coordinator, but he's obviously expressing that he wants somebody that has done this.
yeah. I can't
Now you're
just
gonna
give
find
like
somebody like that.
yeah,
Most likely not
yeah, yeah,
until unless
yeah.
somebody literally comes from another league and tells you talks
Hmm.
or something that shows you that they've worked with Madden, seen how stuff works and this and that.
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah.
way. But yeah, it depends on the coach.
And there's some. Well, I don't want to get into the politics of that. I was gonna say maybe. Yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna say what I want to say. But yeah, yeah. You just gotta have some experience and know what you're doing. Um, that's all I can say about that. You know.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll have oh yeah, I have some
I
fun
will.
facts
You
too
know
to
what,
talk
Smitty?
about.
I will. I say this though. If there is a coach who has applied for the college series, who maybe and Smitty only with your grace, if he's looking to just test the waters and talk to me and get into a chat with me, just to figure some things out or talk to me, I'm very open to that. If there's someone who's applied for that, now I don't want to take your role away from the college series at all, but I will say that if you have some extra time and if you just want to have a conversation and talk to me, we can have that discussion. Only for the offense, though. I don't play any games on my defense. But offense, I'm willing to start hearing some conversations, man, because I don't have the answers. I'm going crazy right now. So, but only with somebody's graces is
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got the thing. Got to cut out a little bit.
well, because I don't want to double dip. You know what I mean, Smitty? So
Yeah.
to get skipped. So I don't know if you said anything to me, Smitty.
No, I didn't. So just to
Yeah.
also before we close out, another thing is there's some key statistics that Pat was able to get to talk about during the podcast. So Keith Guyton, after he had his 135 receiving yard game in a tough loss against the Diablos, He is now the first receiver in RFL history to reach over 11,000 receiving yards, as he's at 11,004 on his career. So he did that. Cole Bacon, the defensive end from the Crusaders, had 2 sacks this week, which gave him 100 total career sacks, which made him the 3rd player in RFL history to ever hit that total, behind Wendell DeMache of the Sentinels and Edmund Whiting, who played for a variety of teams, but I believe he started off with the Voyagers, went to the Bisons. He's been moved around quite a bit, played for a couple of teams, but those two he joins for 100 sacks. Stanley Whitehead, after hauling in 8 receptions, has now given him 600 career catches on his career, making him the 8th player to hit 600. The person who leads in that category, still playing in the RFL today at the tight end position, and that is the Hogs tight end, Rainey Shropshire, who has the record of 744 receptions right now and still climbing. So those are. I
was smiling seeing him, man.
Yeah,
I was smiling seeing him over the week, seeing him make some plays and everything. Yeah. That guy used to get on my nerves, man, playing him. Man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that guy's been here since season 1, still collecting statistics. So, yeah, those are some very interesting stats, Pat. And if you can find some more things like that throughout the week, I'll be excited to, announce those. Because again, we're getting our all-time stats kind of worked on, so that way we know where everyone's at. Shout out to Colo, because I put him on the task, and he's helping organize and get that stuff together, man. So shout out to him. But yeah, I guess we could take one more question. Let's get a good one. Go ahead and close the pod out
on. That's a weak one. Coaches do pretty much everything that you need to do for your team. From whether it's just reordering the depth chart, doing formation subs, scheming, game planning, choosing who's the focus, choosing your playbooks week to week, hiring, firing, trading, drafting. I mean, you pretty much do everything under the sun, and you need to be able to put in some time with it, as well as being active. So that's all I can tell you about what coaches do. If you've ever done simulation football before, how we play, then you'll know that you kind of have to be hands-on and take it seriously if you want to be able to manipulate the game in your favor.
Yeah, definitely a lot to it.
And also there's a fee as well. So
yeah.
So you got to be dedicated to the fee. Yeah. It's not free. Yeah.
So with that being said, let's see the other guy. I see about the draft. I see that's already got answered. I guess I'll check and see one more minute, and we'll stop this right at 9:45 then, which will be an hour and 45 minutes since I paid already. Joshua Prince. Yeah, if you paid and you applied today, you won't get an application, an invite. You might get an invite tomorrow, I'll be honest. But if you don't get one tomorrow, then you have to wait until Friday through Sunday sometime next week. So just letting you know that. And yeah, I think that's it, man. Shout out to the guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the RFL podcast. RFL Live signing out. It's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and play-by-play commentator. One more time, I'm going to show you. We've got this set of games coming up this week. So Monday, Rob Roby in the booth. The Battle of London rivalry between the Black Knights and the Bulldogs. Gino Gannon versus the last season champs, man. Should make for a great game. But we'll see you guys down on Monday. Peace.
Okay, guys. See you later.